guys, it's Sasha, and if my voice sounds weird, it's because I'm still sick, but today I'm here with my October wrap-up, so let's get started. So I read 14 books in the month of October, which is pretty good for me because the last couple of months I felt haven't been very good, so morale. First books I read in the month of October were A Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of God and Monsters, all by Lani Taylor. This book is about Karoo, and she is raised by monsters. Then these weird handprints starts showing up on all of her portals to other places in the world, and she doesn't really know who she is, and I really loved this book. It was super great. In Days of Blood and Starlight, Karoo finally finds out who she is and finds out a whole other bunch of super things. I don't really want to say anything spoilery here if you haven't read the books and if you want to read them or if you're interested in reading them now. I loved this book too, but I felt like, I don't want to say that this book did need to be needed because it did fill in a lot of stuff for the plot, but that's what I felt was like a filler book to stretch it out into a trilogy. I felt like she could have, I don't know, maybe just had it as a duology and like put like what was in this in the other two books and I don't know, made them longer. And what happens in Dreams of God and Monsters is war and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not gonna really say what else. Spoilers, all that good stuff. I rated A Daughter of Smoke and Bone 4 stars, Days of Blood and Starlight 4 stars, Dreams of God and Monsters 5 stars. Next book I read after that was Finding Alice by Melanie Carson, and I have a book talk on that which you will find right here or in the description below. And this book was about a girl named Alice who has schizophrenia, and this is about her dealing with her schizophrenia and how she deals with it. I rated this 3 stars. I didn't particularly like this book that much. I liked reading about the mental illness, and I like how they portrayed it. I didn't like some of the characters and all that, but you can find all that in my book talk, so I'm not really going to talk much about this book. The next book I read after that was Miss Pettigree's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and this is about a boy named Jacob whose grandfather used to tell him stories about when he lived on an island and about children who had special powers, and as Jacob starts to grow older, he doesn't believe in it anymore, and then his grandfather dies, and something happens to him to think that it might be real, so he goes to the island to check it out, and there he sees some stuff. I rated this book 3.7 stars. The next book was Hollow City, also by Ransom Riggs, and this is obviously in the same series as Miss Pettigree's Home for Peculiar Children, and this is again about Jacob, and this is about him and his new friends. They're going to London and because they're trying to save someone, and a whole bunch of things happen in this, and I rated this 3.9 stars. The next book I read was Fidelity by Wendell Berry, and I had to read this for school. I rated this 2 stars. This is a compilation of 5 short stories, and they're not about the same people, but secondary characters are like in the other different stories, so that's what this is about. But I didn't really like this book that much. I usually don't like short stories or novellas. I think it also might have been the way I had to read this because I didn't read it from the first story to the second story to the third story. I read it like the 4th story and then the 2nd story, and maybe that's why it didn't flow as well with me. The next book I read was by Frank Peretti, and that is The Visitation, and this is told from the viewpoint of a man called Travis Jordan. It's about strange things start happening in his town. A crucifix starts crying and the tears start healing people. A man comes in claiming to be God, and he starts healing people, and weird things start happening like that, and the media and everybody else starts coming and flocking to go view, and a supposed Messiah has a dark secret, and Travis Jordan finds it out, and a whole bunch of other stuff start happening. I rated this book 2.5 stars, and I didn't really enjoy this book until the end, when it started to speed up and we found out all the dark secrets. I really only liked the end, which was the last 100 pages. The rest of it was boring and slow. Next book I read was Prophet by Frank Peretti, and this is about a man named John Barrett, and he is a news anchor, and he caught his producer in some wrongdoing, and suddenly his father's death isn't seeming so accidental. As he divulges deeper into the thing, he finds out more about himself and reconnects with God. I rated this book 3.8 stars. I really liked this one. The next book I read was They Never Said It, a book of fake quotes, misquotes, and misleading attributions by Paul F. Baller and John George. And this is about fake quotations, misquotations, and misleading attributions. And I rated this 4 stars. And I liked it. I learned a lot of stuff. It's really interesting. Jackson and the Olympians, The Ultimate Guide, and compiled by Mary Jane Knight. This is obviously about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I rated this 4 stars. It was an easy, quick read. I read this because it was a quick and easy read, and I had to catch up because I changed my Goodreads reading challenge from 150 books to 200 books because I was already past the 150 mark, and now I am 180 books into 200, so yay! Next book I read was My Heart is on the Ground, a diary of Nanny Little Rose, and this is about an Indian 6th girl, hopefully I said that right, going to Carlisle Indian School, and basically it's supposed to be from her perspective, like her diary in which she's writing, and it tells about her experiences at the school and how the world around her is changing, and I did this 4 stars. This book I read was The Demigod Diaries by Rick Riordan, and I loved this book. I loved it more than The Ultimate Guide. I rated this 5 stars. That's how much I liked it. You know, 4 stories, puzzles, maps, and just a cute little book. It was a quick read. That's also why I read it, to catch up. Well, not to catch up, but to stay ahead of the reading challenge. This book I read was An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahar. And this is told from 2 viewpoints. Elias, who is a soldier, and Lana was a slave. She has to go undercover to spy to save her brother, and she meets Elias, and when she meets Elias in the school, Elias realizes that their fates are intertwined and their choices will change the empire. I like this book for the most part. I rated it 3.7 stars, but there was just some stuff that I didn't like. I feel really connected that well. I didn't really like Lana that much until like more towards the end, and I believe it's because of weak she was in the beginning, and I'm not saying that you should hate on weak characters. I'm just saying that I don't like weak characters. More towards the end, it was probably because she got stronger towards the end. And even though this is supposed to be, right now it's a standalone novel, sorry, the ending of this book open, so maybe there will be next book because I want to find out more. Anyway, I hope y'all liked this video. I hope you will check out some of my other videos, and I will see y'all later. Bye!